Now we have to help them set the goal, because quite often setting a goal correctly is the difference between achieving a goal and not achieving a goal. Your brain at different stages, going from the base of the brainstem up to the front of the forehead, it can interfere with goals by blocking them from a neurological perspective. And so if a goal is not written correctly, quite often our brain just deletes the goal. So when people say that goal setting is quite important to success, it really is. Because if you provide the brain with a goal that is not written in a way that the brain can deal with, the brain just deletes it because it deems it to be threatening. So there are many ways that exist on planet Earth in terms of templates you can follow. The start sheet is an adaptation of all the goal-setting templates I've seen around, with some things being added that we found to be more beneficial, from understanding how it gets through the 3 different checkpoints inside the brain. How does it get through the base of the brainstem, the R complex, the pallium mammalian complex, and the neocortex, so that the whole brain lights up, not just a single part of it. So when we're talking about goal setting, what we're really hoping for is that your goal can make it through the base of the brainstem. It can then make it through this region known as the limbic system or the pallium mammalian complex, and then it can then make it into the neocortex. And if we can get all 3 of these sections to light up, then we're in a good position to have a goal written well that's going to land correctly with your client. So when you're baking a goal, imagine it's a cake, it's got 5 ingredients. The very first ingredient, if you want to put this in on page 147, is specificity. So you want the goal to have specificity. Specificity means that we add things like numbers, things that transition from abstract emotion to action. So when I'm thinking about specificity, you'll meet a lot of people and they come up to you and say, hey, Ben, my goal is to be happier. Ben, I've got a goal, it's to be happier. So I tell them a joke and then I walk off and that's it. They've achieved their goal. You know, someone comes up and says, oh, Ben, my goal's inner peace. Your brain can't do a lot with those kind of goals. So you'll find a lot of people are setting goals that are emotionally driven, but your brain has no way of processing that. So let me give you an example. If I told you right now that I wanted to achieve inner peace, and you imagine me doing something right now, in the chat box, what do you imagine me doing? If my goal is inner peace and you imagine me doing something, what do you imagine me doing? Meditating, yoga, meditating. So you can see in the chat box, in order for you to imagine my goal, this is really important, you had to imagine me doing something. You didn't imagine me doing inner peace, you imagined me doing yoga. You imagined me doing meditation. You imagined me doing shopping. You imagined me doing breath work. You did not imagine me doing inner peace, because you can't imagine inner peace. You can only imagine the action that generates inner peace. This is critical to understanding goal setting. If the client cannot imagine the goal, right, they won't be able to achieve it. So therefore, almost all the goals you set with clients have to be translated into actions. So if someone says, hey, I want to be happier, they walk up to you as a coach, hey, coach, I want to be happier. You should respond, tell me, what are some of the things you do that cause you to feel happiness? And they say, well, playing the guitar. You say, excellent. Let's set a goal for playing the guitar. Oh, you know, I really want to have greater inner peace. Fantastic. Tell me, what are some of the things that you do that make you feel peaceful? Oh, walking in the forest. Excellent. We're going to set a goal to walk more in the forest. Type an A for action if you understand what I'm saying. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make. The number of people that come to me with a goal of inner peace will blow your mind. And after 20 years, they've never achieved it, because your brain can't do anything with the goal. Nothing it can do with that goal. So it's very important that your brain deletes the goal of inner peace. It deletes the goal of compassion. It just deletes it because it doesn't know how to place it anywhere. So it's very important that all goals are translated into action. And if they are, your clients will be able to hit them very easily. So specificity means we translate whatever it is into a specific action. We want it to be action orientated. Specificity also contains numbers. Once we've done that, we've then got to apply an element of timing. So every goal is going to become beneficial when you have an element of timing to it. What I want to explain to you about timing, and this is quite important, for the vast majority of men that you set goals with, they're going to reference time as an A to B straight line concept. The vast majority of men, not all men, but about 80% of men will say that they are here at A and their goal is over here at B and it's a straight line. That's how they reference time. So what does that mean? It means that about 80% of men will benefit from a fixed date being their goal. July 17th, August the 1st, November the 10th. They benefit from that because the vast majority of men will use a very small section of their left hemisphere when processing the outcome they're attempting to obtain, a very small part, and their left hemisphere is very linear and it's very concrete and it's hierarchical, and therefore they are here and they're going there. It's a straight line. And they often only see that. They don't see anything else. And that is obviously a survival function that was factored into biology of men for hunting purposes back, I don't know how many thousands of years ago. So that is based on their vision. So the vision of a lot of men is this concept of what's known as foveal vision. They will lock into something and they don't see anything else. And a lot of people around them are like, can you not see this thing we're looking for? And they're like, no, I can't see it. I can't see it anywhere. Because their brain is like, what is the intended target? Look at the target and then go for it. Whereas about 80% of women have what's called expanded awareness. They're able to take in entire environments. They're able to see all the differences in an environment. And I don't know if you're aware of this. If there's ever a bomb threat in a building and they're trying to work out if anything's different in the building, they will often ask the women, is anything different inside the room? Because they find that it's a more accurate answer than a man will give, because a man will just see an individual object lock in and not be able to see the whole amount of differences. And there is reasons for that as well. So what does this mean? It means that when you're setting a goal, we have to appreciate that 80% of women actually view the world cyclically. So for a woman, the vast majority of them, their goal starts at A and it finishes in the same spot, B. Just type a C for cycle if you can appreciate that a large number of women view time as a cycle, whereas men view time as a straight line. This is really important because if you set a goal with me and you make it cyclical, my brain deletes it because it's foreign. My brain says, what is that? I don't get that. Get rid of it. If you set an A-B fixed date inside a brain that views the world cyclical, it'll delete it as well. So let me give you an example. Because the reference of time for a woman is often used by all of their brain. You put a woman in an MRI machine and get them to think about solving a problem, and you sit back and you watch the fireworks. Both hemispheres light up, neural activity everywhere. You get a man to lie in an MRI machine and ask them to solve a problem, a tiny little thing in the left hemisphere of their brain lights up and nothing else. It's really quite profound. It's a very bizarre experience. So what does that mean? It means they both solve the problem. They just do it differently. So the reason a woman uses their whole mind is also the same reason that they see time as cycling, not a continuum. So let me give an example. If I wanted to set a goal with someone who's got cyclical time, by the way, 20% of men use cyclical timing and 20% of women use A to B. I'll give you an example. This person might say, I'm going to set my goal 15th of June. That's that person. This person might say beginning of winter. At the beginning of winter, I'll be earning $50,000 a year as a coach. That goal lands so perfectly in their reference of time, it does not get deleted because your brain deletes foreign concepts because it believes it's dangerous. So you might say, if you've got cyclical timing, by the end of spring, I'll have written my first book. That goal is perfect. But if you say the 31st of July, your brain says, what is that? What is that? I can't do anything with that, and it deletes it. I remember I was working with a lady who wanted to write a book. For years, she wanted to write a book. And I said, can you just show me your goal? And she showed me a goal, and she was using one of these goals. She had a fixed date. She'd never hit it. And we adjusted the goal to be the beginning of summer. I think it was the beginning of summer or the beginning of winter. She wrote the goal straight away. She wrote the book straight away, I should say. So understand that just one correction in the way you write the timing can make it acceptable to your brain. So in the chat box, L for linear or C for cyclical, which one do you think you are? Which one? Do you like a fixed date or do you like the beginning of the moon cycle? Do you like end of summer? Look in the chat box. I'm in the chat box. Pretty interesting, huh? As far as I'm aware, I'm the only person that's ever taught this. I have not heard a single other teacher on planet Earth ever teach this piece of information. I had to work it out myself. I had the vast majority of my clients when I was getting started were female, and they were not obtaining the outcomes. And me being me, I was trying to make everybody think the way I thought. And I was like, something's not gelling here. And eventually I just got over myself and started to pay attention and listen to people. And I realized I have missed a very important piece of the puzzle. And that is that I don't think in cyclical terms. Therefore, I can't even entertain a cyclical goal. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so as a result, I started to change all the way in which once I was finding people that were cyclical, and it's just a question, which feels better for you? Does it feel better the beginning of spring or the 1st of September? I like the 1st of September. Someone else says, I prefer the beginning of spring. Done. And we write it in there and we just see. You can test them out, obviously. You can try it out, see what works for you. But this is important information to have an understanding of. So once we've got that, we then move in to achievability. Now, with achievability, there's no real metric for this. It's just if you always achieve your goals, they're too small. If you never achieve your goals, they're too big. So I always ask the client, do you regularly achieve your goals? If they say no, then we make them a bit smaller. If they say yes, we make them a bit bigger. So achievability just means the size of the goal that we are going to set, but make sure it is achievable. People keep setting impossible goals. I don't know why they do this to themselves, but make sure that there is an element of achievability. It can actually be achieved. Next one is reasons. You want to actually have some solid reasons that back up the goal. And we address this by asking the question, why do I really want this? So I'm a big fan of identifying the core reasons that a person wants the goal, because those reasons light up energy centers that give us the energy to go out there and achieve the outcome. And then the last one is 3 actions. I want to identify the first 3 actions that the client needs to take. So as long as the goal has specificity, whoops, just give me a second here. What have I done? Here we go. As long as the goal has specificity, timing, achievability, reasons, and 3 actions, we're in a good position. And we've got a template that we can utilize, but this is what I'm looking for. The reason we want the first 3 actions is because your brain has a strategy that says, if I don't know the exact actions I'm meant to take at the beginning, I don't let you do anything. So a lot of people say, oh, Ben, my goal is to build a website. And I go, what's the first 3 actions? They can't tell me. Now, when you say to your brain, build a website, your brain is wondering what it needs to protect you from. What does it need to keep you safe from? And if you don't give it the first 3 actions, it just says that whole thing's dangerous. So anyone who's ever tried to write a book, most of them procrastinate forever because they gave their brain this abstract concept, write a book. Your brain tried to process, is it dangerous to do that? It couldn't see what the first couple of actions were, which is what it has to protect you from first. And as a result, you never write the book. So most procrastination is a failure to provide the brain with the very first 3 action steps. So most procrastination is really just being generated by a failure of you providing your brain the first three actions. The part of your brain that keeps you safe generally deals in 10-minute chunks. So it needs to know for sure what is the first 10 minutes involved of this goal. And if you provide it to it, it quite often gives you the opportunity to start that goal, to start that result. We've got the template there. The template, everyone can see on page 148. It's a template of it is now, I am, or I have. The reason this goal was really important is because, and the first three actions I took were. And so we can see an example. It is now, for example, the 1st of December or the beginning of summer, depending if it's linear or cyclical as the preference. And I've just signed up my 10th coaching client at the grounds of Alexandria. The reason this goal was really, really important to me is because I wanted to be a fantastic role model for my daughters and create a better world for them to grow up in. The first three actions I took towards successfully achieving this goal were going through the Accelerated Coaching Certification Manual, coaching 3 people I already knew for feedback, and practicing the 5 business development steps. So that is an example of one. So what we're going to do is we're going to create your version. And by the way, for everybody at home, as I create this with Danon, I want you to create your one as well. And it's all going to be around being a highly effective results coach, because we're then going to take this goal and run it through the Imagine Action process. So, Danon, this goal of being a highly effective results coach, tell me, with everything you've just said, the freedom, the travel, the financial rewards, the gratitude, the messages, the testimonials, the gifts, all of that stuff you covered in the Clarify Their Results. Tell me, in terms of setting a goal, when would you like that to have occurred by? So it is now what?
This is in the, yeah, okay. Oh, 2 years, 3 years, 3 years. 3 years would be 3 years.
So 3 years from now. And do you like linear style things or cyclical style?
Yeah, linear.
Okay, cool. So just give us a date that resonates with you.
Let's go 17th of April.
Okay, it is now 17th of April. And what's that, 2026, is it?
2026, yeah.
Got it. Okay. And now what we're looking for is the single moment that lets you know for certain that you've achieved the outcome. So what is the number one thing that you will be doing that lets you know, absolutely, this has happened?
I'm overseas running a course that has been fully booked out.
So I'm overseas running a course that's been fully booked out. Now, when you say fully booked out, just so I'm a bit more specific there, what is that? Is that 1,000 people, 100 people, 20 people, 5 people? What is that?
I'd be happy with 10.
Okay, cool. So I'm overseas running a course, a fully booked course with 10 participants. Whereabouts are you overseas?
South Africa was the first place that popped into my mind.
Okay, anywhere in particular in South Africa?
The Drakensberg. Okay,
how do you spell that?
I think it's Drakens B. I'm gonna go ERG.
Drakensberg. Yep.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay,
yeah.
So you are overseas in South Africa in Drakensberg, and you're running a course. Are they live in the room? Are they on Zoom? What's the
live in person?
Cool, nice. And are you a hotel? Are you out in the forest? What are you doing?
No, it's it'll be a selection of little cottages / build like little houses, and so it's more of a community feel.
Got it. Okay, so just so I'm clear, it is now the 17th of April 2026. You're overseas running a fully booked course with 10 participants in South Africa and Drakensberg in these little cottages. Am I sort of... Yeah, we got that? Okay, so tell me, what's the reason this is really important to you? We're looking for an emotionally driven reason.
Because it'll be a pretty clear signifier to me that I'm I'm purpose. Yeah. Oh, oh. Why is this important to me?
Yeah. Why is this goal really, really important to you?
Because that is it encapsulates freedom, it encapsulates what I'm passionate about, and it encapsulates giving and inspiring people. It sort of encapsulates all three of those little areas that I feel are important to me.
Okay, so if I was to assist you here now, then, so the reason this goal is really, really important to me is because I wanted to experience a lot more freedom in life. I wanted to be living my passion, and I wanted to be giving back and having an impact on the planet. Is that sort of in the ballpark of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there more you'd like to add to that, or is that good?
No, I think that's. I mean, yeah, there'd be so much joy and appreciation and gratitude with that. There'd be, yeah.
Got it. All right. So tell me, in your mind, what were the first 3 actions that you took towards successfully achieving this goal?
I've completed this course.
Okay, got it. Completed the course. Yeah. What else?
I've started my own coaching business, and I've been building that so starting my coaching business.
And when you say starting it, what does that look like? If I watched a video of you starting your coaching business, what am I going to see?
I've launched a website.
Got it. Okay. Good stuff. Yep. And what's another action?
I'm saying this not really knowing anything that comes after doing this course. So I'm really making all this stuff up. But I'm assuming there's a website that comes in there at some point, maybe. And I'm consistently booking clients. I'm consistently working with clients on a weekly basis.
Got it. So you are consistently booking clients. Nice. As a general starting point for people, we find that going over the course materials, coaching some friends, when you leave the course, get excited and go and do the values track on all your friends, not because you're trying to sign them up, but because it's genuinely cool to find your values track. Like, go and take your friends through future belonging, not because you want to sign them up, but because it's genuinely cool to take someone through it. So we always say, just go and share the love. Your friends have been with you your whole life, or, potentially, they may as well get the benefits as soon as possible. So we say, get all that excitement and just go and coach your friends and family. You're not trying to sign them up. You're just genuinely wanting to give them a cool gift. So that's always a great starting point for people if they're starting fresh. Just, think of everyone you can think of that you can take everyone you can think of who you could take through the values track, and all of a sudden you're getting great experience. And your friends and family will be thanking you with a lot of gratitude because they've got this clarity now of how off track they are and so on. So, okay, I've got a goal. Let me just clarify. It's the 17th of April to 2026. You're in South Africa, 10 people fully booked in these little cottages. The freedom's important. The passion is important. Giving back, making an impact, the joy, the appreciation, the gratitude. And what you did was you completed the course, you launched a website, and you started booking clients. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds pretty good.